already made the joke about the very busy Browns jersey, but here's what it looks like by the numbers. Cleveland's had the most starting quarterbacks in the NFL since 1999 with 40. Gabriel will become number 41. Just to put that into perspective, the other Ohio NFL team, the Bengals, have started the opposite of that number, 14 during that span. So let's welcome in Amy Trask to talk a little bit about the business side of things. So from an executive's perspective, what do you think about this move now to the rookie, Dillon Gabriel?
Well, the analysis that a team has to undertake is, are we looking at the short term or the long term? Do we want to win now, or do we want to set ourselves up for success in the future? Now, those two things are not necessarily mutually exclusive. By starting Dillon, it may help them win now, and perhaps they are setting themselves up for success in the future. But you've got to balance those two issues. By starting him now, are you risking his future? Maybe yes, maybe no. Do you have the right cast around him? Can you protect him? Do you have a good running game? All of those need to be considered when you're looking at the long term. Are you more concerned with building for the future? As you just noted, Emily, 41 quarterbacks. Maybe they need to be spending a little more time looking at the future than, quote, winning now, close quote. I get it. Those two things aren't necessarily mutually exclusive, as I mentioned. But one more point in that regard. When ownership of a team is looking to a head coach and or a general manager to make a decision that's in the best interests of a team long term, they've got to remember that the people they're asking to make that decision may know that they don't have a long term. In other words, if the coach and the GM think, if I don't win now, I ain't got a long term, well, then they are likely to prioritize winning now versus long-term success.
Yeah, and looking short term, Browns quarterbacks are 0-16 in their first career start since that date that we mentioned back in 1999. But if we look at the long term, like you said, the onus is now on Kevin Stefanski to make this work, but he'll have to do it maybe while sitting on the proverbial hot seat. So what is it like in the building when your head coach is feeling that heat?
Well, when rumors start swirling that a coach is on the hot seat, those rumors permeate the entire building, the entire organization. First and foremost, there are people on staff, not only the coaching staff, but on the staff as a whole, who were hired by the head coach, who is now rumored to be on the hot seat. So if you're sitting at your desk, if you're sitting in your office, if you're in the locker room and you think, wow, I have my job because he's the head coach and now he's rumored to maybe be on the hot seat, do I need to start looking around as well? It also permeates other areas of the organization, people who weren't hired by the head coach. It's going to have an impact on your PR department. They're going to have to deal with the questions and the issues. Your social media department, your sponsorship department, your sponsors who are with you long term want to know what the heck is going on. We don't want to hear it when it becomes public. Your season ticket holders are calling the phones. It resonates throughout the organization, Emily.
Moving on from the Browns talk, we've already seen some games flexed for Week 6, and from a fan perspective, we got to change our plans around a little bit, but what business issues are associated with flexing games?
Look, I am glad you started by referencing the fan issues, and I'll tell you why. We all know 50,000 to 80,000, and those are rough numbers, but roughly 50,000 to 80,000 people go to the games and watch them in person in the stadium. Millions and millions and millions times millions are watching the broadcasts. So it makes all the sense in the world for the league to flex games, and fans that are watching on TV may enjoy, for the most part, do enjoy that flexing. Two issues. There are business ramifications on the organization. There's logistics to deal with, expenses to deal with. Let's set that aside, because my focus has always been on the impact of flexing on fans. Many fans don't live in the area where their team is playing. They travel to the games. Many of those fans fly to the games. Well, okay, the game is now flexed. They're going to have to adjust flight times quite often if they're flying in and flying out the day of the game. And if they have to adjust their flights, are there other flights available? And oh, by the way, when you adjust a flight that you've bought in advance, there may be an expense associated with making a change in that flight. And if the game now ends later than you can get out on a flight, what if there is no flight to get after a game that now ends later? You're going to have to stay over. Okay, now you need a hotel reservation. What if you can't find a hotel room? What about the additional expense? What if you have a job that requires you to be back super duper early the next morning, at the job super duper early, or you're in school, or you have children in school that you were taking to the game? I could go on and on and on, and I promise that I won't. But the fact is there are significant ramifications for fans. And I believe, and I've held this view for decades, it is not something that I came to after leaving the team. Teams and the league need to figure out a way to take care of the fans who have purchased tickets to the game, purchased plane flights, and whose lives are now adjusted. There's got to be a way to take care of them.
This is just such fantastic perspective. I feel like I get to just ask you all these questions, and I learned so much with every single one. I've got another one for you, because once again, we saw another prominent player suffer a season-ending injury on the always controversial MetLife Stadium turf. Players once again voicing their frustration, but where do you land on this issue?
Well, a few things. Yes, turf, there are injuries. But grass that isn't properly maintained, meaning non-artificial turf, real grass that is not properly maintained or that is overused, can also lead to injuries. So I guess the way, and I'm struggling for words because I think I wouldn't denominate this turf versus grass. I would denominate this safe surface versus unsafe surface. And whether the unsafe surface is turf or overused or poorly cared for grass, it needs to be addressed. And I am absolutely perplexed, no, more than perplexed. It boggles my mind that the NFLPA has not to date made this more of a priority in negotiations than they have. NFLPA, if you're listening to me, and by the way, I am sure NFLPA is listening to CBS Sports HQ. So listen up, NFLPA, this has got to be a priority. If you are not caring for the safety of the players, if you are not prioritizing the safety of the players, you're not doing a good job.
I love it. If they're not listening to Amy Trask, what are they doing? Thank you so much for being here on the show. We do appreciate it.
Thank you, Emily.
Love it. Also, love this show. If you have not made this part of your Sunday routine, let me give you the advice. You got Sunday Night Football on the TV, you got the recap show on your computer. It's the best way to get caught up on everything happening on the NFL Sunday. Join Haley Sutton and the guys every Sunday night at 8:20 on CBS Sports HQ.